Hi and welcome to Chris Ryan Golf. You've joined me at the Belfry today. We are in the tailor-made fitting suite here at the PGA National Golf Academy. And in this video, we are going to give you 3 key points that you can focus on to ensure you strike your iron clubs better. So this is part of a new video series I'm doing where I just give you 3 things that you need to focus on in order to hit a specific shot or maybe to achieve a certain aspect of the golf swing. So as I say, in this video we're looking at the impact and we're looking at 3 things that you can focus on and work towards which are going to help you hit these clubs better and ultimately score lower on the golf course. So the first point we're going to cover today is to do with the weight. Your weight needs to be forward as you make contact with that golf ball. So point number 1 is the weight needs to be forward above on this lead foot as you make contact. That does not mean that we have to start with the weight there at setup. It does not mean that we have to be there at the top of the backswing, but at the point of contact, the weight has to be forward. So if I could just show you from face on, take a normal starting position, that would be how I would set myself up. As I make contact, notice how my hips are going to be more forward. They're going to be close to the target, which essentially puts more weight onto this lead leg. That is absolutely vital if we are going to hit the ground at the correct point. Okay, that is what ball striking is all about. If we can control where that club hits that ground, we can be a good ball striker. Many of the golfers I see who don't strike the irons well are either hitting the ground too early, they're not hitting the ground at all, or where they hit the ground is too varied. You know, it's kind of before the ball, it's after the ball, it's wherever it may be. We need to try and get that contact with the ground more controllable, more consistent, and that's going to help you strike your irons better. Having the weight forward, having the hips forward is the first point in making sure we do that. So we're going to go through how you can implement all these 3 things together at the end. So just to remember, that's number 1. Point 2 is the handle needs to be forward as well. So I've now got 2 things that are probably closer to the target at impact than they were at setup. I've got my hips which are forward and I've got my hands which are forward. So hands being forward basically is going to do the same thing as the hips. It's going to ensure that we strike the ground at the right point, which is after the golf ball. If we look at a golf swing in slow motion, we would see the golf club come in, strike the ball and then strike the ground. The reason that happens is because the weight is forward and the handle is forward. If your handle is too far back, effectively the lowest part of that golf club's swing is going to be too far back, and then we're going to get the same shots as we mentioned earlier. We're going to get the ground early, we're going to get the thin shots, we're going to get the inconsistent contacts. So point number 2 is having the handle more forwards. Point number 3 is having the elbows pretty close together, having the arms straight and the elbows close. So all too often we will see potentially hips forward, hands forward, but we see the elbows flexing. Okay, we see too much bend in each arm. It's generally both arms, very rarely would it be one arm. So too much flex in the arms basically shortens the radius of that golf swing and makes it very difficult to make solid contact. There are plenty of golf swings out there on tours which are making lots of money, which have all different wonderful positions and looks to them. They will often have all of these 3 things at impact. It's absolutely vital that we achieve these things to get that best quality of strike. The middle of that golf club is a lot higher up the golf club than what you would feel. It's about 4 or 5 grooves up. To ensure that we hit that part of the golf club, we need those 3 things. So from setup here, what we can actually do is just go to an impact. Start to understand the differences first of all before we even try and put it into a swing. There's my starting position. My impact would be here. Okay, so you'll notice that my hips are forward, my hands are forward, and my elbows are close together. My elbows would like to stay close together for at least a couple of feet after that golf ball. Okay, once we've gone past here, this is the kind of follow-through point here, the ball is long gone, it doesn't matter too much what we do with those elbows. Okay, they're going to start to flex. Okay, a good example of that would be Jordan Spieth at the moment. Even as he's coming into impact, he's got his elbows close, but then very soon after that, he starts to get this lead elbow sort of flexing like this. Okay, so if we can work towards those 3 points, we should start to strike the irons better. Now, having that knowledge doesn't necessarily mean that next time you go to the range you're going to stand there and make these lovely golf swings, strike it perfectly and hit these lovely golf shots. It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. But what we can start to do is we can just start to, as I said a moment ago, we can start to just get a better understanding of the differences between my setup and my impact. If I can start to recognise how they're different, it might help me hit some better shots on the golf course. Very often I will see golfers in poor impact positions. We talk about the impact and we actually just find out that they weren't aware that it should be different. They're trying to achieve an impact position which looks like the setup. If that's you, this bit of information today, these 3 keys are going to be absolutely vital for you. And you can go ahead onto the range and start to just put yourself into an impact position and start to sense how that's different to your start. What does it feel like? Where's the weight feel? What does that look like? All these kind of things. So this is the drill I want you to go through. In fact, I'll do it this way so it's kind of face onto the camera. A little bit easier for you to see. Take your starting position. Preset impact. Hips forwards, hands forwards, elbows close. From here, I want you to hit balls which fly 20, 25 yards through the air, trying to hold the elbows close together. It should look a little bit like this. Okay, that ball's flown probably about 35 yards, but notice how my elbows are still close together, the weight is still on that lead leg, and certainly my hands and the club are pretty much in a line. Okay, that's a good drill to start to understand impact. What might we see? Well, could see a couple of things. We might see good preset, and we might see this. Okay, so you'll notice how the elbows have certainly split. Okay, you'll notice how my lead arm of the club isn't in a straight line. I've definitely got a bit more distance between my elbows. That might be what you tend to see. The other one we tend to see would be where we start with the hips forwards and the hands forwards, but when we hit the ball, the hips have backed up. I now feel more weight on my lead leg. I've managed to keep my elbows pretty close. I wouldn't say the club head has particularly overtaken my hands, but I've backed up onto that back foot here. So even over 20 or 30 yards, we can start to see the faults that might happen in our full swing. What we do over little pitch shots is often just a miniature version of what we do in the full swings. The faults that we see at full speed, we would often see at slow speed. So just working at 20 or 30 yards initially is going to be a very, very good way for you to start to improve and recognise what this impact should be like. Weight forward, hands forward, pitch that ball 20 yards, hold your finish, weight still forward, elbows are close, hands in this position probably means that they were forward at impact, and that's the information I want. So 3 points. If you can remember those 3 points, understand those 3 points, work towards those key points, and start to integrate maybe some of that into your practice, you will hopefully strike these irons better, hit them closer, scores will be lower, and it's a much more enjoyable game when we're playing well. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any comments on this video or any of the videos, then you can post those in the boxes down below. And to ensure you don't miss any of the content, then please click the subscribe button. That will get you access to all of my videos. Okay, so thanks again for watching, and we will see you again next time.